So many people use the Smith machine without knowing the answer to this very simple question. Which way are you supposed to face? So today we're gonna answer that question, and by the end of the video, you're gonna know exactly which way you should be facing to target your quads or your glutes and hamstrings. So to determine which way you need to face, you first need to understand how most Smith machines are built. They're angled, meaning that the direction of the Smith machine bar isn't angled at 90 degrees from the floor like a regular barbell, but rather more like something 10 or so degrees off from that. So now we're met with two obvious options. We can either face in the direction of the tilt, i.e. where my eyes are pointed in the direction that the bar is moving as it lowers, or we can face away from the tilt where my eyes are pointed away from the direction that the bar is moving when it lowers. So here's a really simple way to think about what the effects are naturally of facing in either direction. Whether you're trying to do some kind of squat or some kind of hinge, the joint that can move in the direction of the tilt is the one that will be loaded more. So here's what that means. When I face this way, my knee joint is the one that can move in the direction of the tilt. Look at the direction that the knee is bending. Note how my knee is moving forward along with that tilt in the same direction as the bar as you lower down. And then as I raise up out of the bottom, the knee moves backward along with the bar as it also moves backward. But when I face this way, my hip joint is the joint that can move in the direction of the tilt. Watch how my hips and my butt move in the direction of the bar now as it lowers and as it raises, while my knees are constrained and can't really go anywhere. So when I'm facing this direction, I'm setting myself up for much more of a quad dominant squatting pattern, at least in terms of what the machine is actually encouraging my body to do. This is a fantastic way to target the quads with a squat pattern because you can basically just drop your butt directly to your heels as your knee is the joint that's loaded most. Now this doesn't mean that you couldn't make this movement more hip dominant. You obviously could by just simply doing something like a deadlift. But my overall point is that facing this direction is better suited for knee dominant loading, and specifically a knee dominant squat type of pattern. Okay, so when I'm facing this direction now, I'm setting myself up much better for something more hip dominant because the bar is essentially shoving my weight backward behind my feet. So when I face away from the direction of the tilt, I'm set up much better to perform glute and hamstrings work because my hip is the joint that's controlling motion of the bar downward and upward. So here are some super clear and actionable takeaways. If you want to perform some quad dominant exercise, you should face in the direction of the tilt of the bar as we discussed, so that your knees are loaded more than your hips and so that you can stay upright, dropping your butt basically straight to your heels. For any quad dominant pattern that you do this way, I highly recommend shifting your feet just slightly forward in front of the bar because this will make it much easier for you to kind of track your shins forward over your toes so that you can utilize your quads more and almost think about pushing the floor a little bit away from you as you're pushing yourself upward. You can think about this motion as kind of similar to a pendulum squat if you've used it, where you're almost pushing the load upward and backward with the quads most specifically, kind of like you're doing a blended leg extension and squat at the same time. And if you want to perform some kind of glute or hamstring dominant motion, face away from the direction of the tilt as we discussed so that the hip can move backward alongside the bar, and so that when the hips move forward, the bar moves up in the same direction. I personally prefer to do traditional looking deadlifts and RDLs on the Smith machine to target the glutes and the hamstrings, but of course you could also do something like a good morning. That would be perfectly fine and maybe even better suited to some of you based on your personal preferences. Lastly, make sure that you're not drawing hard rules around where exactly you should place your feet. Play around with different foot positions and simply just try to understand what feels best for whatever goal you're trying to accomplish. If you're still watching at this point in the video, thanks for watching, and make sure you hit subscribe. Please subscribe. And if you want to learn more from me, check the links in the description below. See you all in the next video.